proudest day and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Crunching Gears. Let's talk rallying, episode 8. In this episode, I'm once again joined by Connor Edwards, motorsport photographer for various publications, and Adam Hall from Rally Insight. Lads, you're very welcome.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
In this episode, we're doing a review of West Cork that was on there the weekend, and again, once again, jam-packed with interviews. We catch up with Jonathan Jackson, co-driver to Marion Evans, Rob Duggan, William Creighton, and Daniel Mc Kenna. So, what a rally, what a weekend. So, I suppose first of all, we'll go over and see Jonathan Jackson, see what his thoughts were on the weekend.
Yeah, really good, thank you. Yeah, no, thank you for having me. West Cork was a really good event. It's always a fair challenge, and this year, Steve and his team put on a really good event, and it was a real challenge at the front there. Day one was good. We perhaps didn't quite start off where we wanted to be. We felt like there was kind of something missing a bit early on. But stage 5 onwards, we kind of kicked on a bit. Things started to click back into place, and the pace was a little bit more kind of what we would expect from ourselves. Stage 5, we had a little bit of an intercom issue where I couldn't hear a thing, but fortunately Maz could hear me, which I knew kind of pretty much straight away, because otherwise I'd expect to see some hand gestures like, where are you kind of thing. The afternoon was a lot better. We, settled kind of back in and got back on the pace. So, end of the day, okay, we were kind of 18 odd seconds, I think it was, off the lead, but, we were still in the podium position. So in a good place then for day 2.
And it was fairly competitive on day 1. Certainly seemed to be fighting. Obviously, Callum Devine was out front, and Cahan McCourt was putting on a good show as well. But you had also Alistair Fisher and Johnny Greer in the mix. You were battling away there.
Yeah, to have kind of 6 cars right at the front there, going like hell and really fighting at the front it's a real buzz to be kind of in that gaggle at the front there. And, you're going like hell for 16 plus kilometers, and you get to the end and there's 1 second covering the top 4. And then, 5 seconds covering the top 6. It is testament to the championship, really, that, the pace is so high at the front there. And, like I say, it's a great buzz to be there.
Yeah. And then day 2 on the Sunday, so we lost Cahan McCourt early on, and then also Callum Devine had issues with the gearbox. And you yourselves, I think you had a wee bit of a drama on stage 11, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. We're coming along to the hairpin left at the triangle there. I think it was actually in front of the live stream, which is typical. And we just tripped up the step then. She stalled on us. So, we kind of lost a bit of a chunk, which put us kind of on not so much on the back foot, but, kind of lost us that advantage we gained by being fastest in stage 10. So bit of a shame, but, these things happen. It could have, it was a shame for Catherine and Callum, like you say, losing two of the top 6 there was a shame. But before then it was such a good battle.
And you had quite a fight there too, obviously with Johnny Greer and Alistair, and I think got into the last stage. I think Johnny was only 3 seconds off from yourselves.
That's right. Yeah. Johnny, to be fair, the C3 was good, and it's good to see another mark in the championship. And Johnny and Di were going really well, throughout the weekend, to be fair. And they'd closed up to 3 seconds behind us there at the end. And, we all shook hands going into that final stage, and, best man kind of wins kind of scenario. So no, it was a shame to hear that they'd had a bit of a spin and an issue then with the exhaust, but, fair play to them. It's good to see them there. Good to see them joining the crew at the front, and it was a really good, strong fight.
Yeah, no, it was a really good battle, really good weekend of rallying now to spectate and watch. And so that leaves you your second overall in the championship, going into the third round, the Circuit of Ireland. Will we see you on the start ramp in Ballymena?
Yeah, we'll be there. Yeah, entries in, and looking forward to. It's been a while actually since. Well, it feels like a while, only obviously with the pandemic since we've been up there. Those stages are always really good, and really looking forward to getting up into the Antrim area again, and hopefully continuing. We've had quite a strong run so far, and 4 second places in a row. It'd be nice to make make the top spot. Perhaps that'll be the weekend. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll certainly be there and giving it a good go.
Yeah, well, listen, hopefully it all comes together for you. And you had quite a bit of Welsh support in West Cork. Will you be bringing a large contingent with you to the circuit?
Fingers crossed. Yeah, no, it was awesome to see all those Welsh flags on the stages. West Cork's a bit of a rite of passage, I think, for the Welsh. So they always come over in their, good numbers, and hopefully they'll follow us up to the circuit, and we'll see a lot more Welsh flags there as well.
That was great catching up with JJ, and as he said, like 4th consecutive second place, and they're just itching for the win, and fingers crossed it might just come at the Circuit of Ireland. West Cork looked fantastic. I didn't get to go down, but certainly was following it online. Weather looked good, stages looked fast. Adam, you did make it down. What did you think of the rally?
Yeah, Connor has one of the lucky ones. It was unbelievable. We're definitely being treated to some spectacular rallying in Ireland this year. But the sun was here properly this time, and just standing on Saturday morning, we actually went down to Ardfield and stood at a flat out right-hander, and just hearing the cars bouncing the limiter coming down to us. You could really spot the brave ones. One of the brave ones first thing was Rob Duggan, and he just never lifted big tank slapper coming out of it, across the sand over the road from the beach. You just couldn't make it up. Like it's definitely a bucket list rally, and so many times in my head over the weekend, it's just I honestly don't think I've been to a rally that I've enjoyed so much. Just every junction you went to, you could see a good bit. Everyone was flat out, from the guys at the front right down to when you were leaving to go to the next stage. There was no bits where you weren't concentrating, because there was always something to watch out for. I think a standout as well was Ring, which was on Sunday morning. I think it was the first time that's been ran in a good while, to give the Starks a chance to go around Ring again. But yeah, standing at the Kitty Max junction and the crowds, it was phenomenal. Like so many people, and again, you can see you really know why Ring's so famous. Like not even just for the drivers, but when you're standing there watching, you can follow them for a good 30 seconds, like along around the bay. And again, like the corners are just flat out committed. There's no lifting anywhere. But brilliant, and so many top performers. Maybe Kevin, you were watching as well. Don't know, out of the top guys, who stood out for you?
It was like, you talk about an atmosphere like from Killian, hitting the Park Ferma on Saturday morning. Like there was an atmosphere building, like even just watching it online, you could almost taste it. It was, it just seemed to be really building and building and building. And the good weather had obviously helped it too. But standouts, where do you start and where do you stop? Callum Devine, this Fiesta seems to be hooked up now. We all know that Callum's been struggling a wee bit. Josh Moffat, the man's phenomenal this year. Marion Evans again. Catherine McCourt. Catherine has really raised his level this year. Phenomenal. It's just been unbelievable. And then get into the modifieds. The Stafford and the Darien class apart. Rob Duggan, only his 3rd time in his new escort. Like, as you say, flat out on the very first stage. I know, crazy stuff. I have never been to the rally, but it's definitely, as you talk about a bucket list rally, it has to be one of the ones here in Ireland that I have to make a shape at getting down to. There's no doubt about that there. So. And Connor, what was your thoughts on it?
I again would love to have been there, but following it online, like there was some serious battles, between Callum and Josh fighting it out, for the top position. And then you had Marion and Greer and Alistair Fisher and Cathal McCourt thrown into the mix there again, battling for second, third, fourth. Just unfortunate that we lost Callum and that we also lost Cahan on the Sunday, because really that was shaping up for a fantastic finish. And what do you call it? Even like going into the last stage, Johnny Greer was only 3 seconds off Evans, and a fairly minor incident flattened the exhaust, and that was it. No power. It was just unfortunate.
And we have to once again pay tribute to the Tarmac Championship going down the R5. When JJ mentioned there in the interview with him, stages maybe 12, 13, 18 kilometers, and a second, maybe 5 seconds covering the top, 4 or 5 cars.
Yeah.
And you have your Hyundai, you have your Fiesta, your Polo, and it's the Range of car and the Citroen, as well. 4 different cars separated by a blink of an eye, really, over that a 19 kilometer stage. That's unbelievable, really, isn't it? When you think about it.
It really is. Yeah, sorry, Adam. There really is a fantastic mix of cars this year. Go back a few years and it was pretty much all Fiestas. Now, stick a pin, and you can come up with anything.
Yeah, I don't think there was any of the Fiestas ended up near the top this time. It's maybe David Guest and Anthony Nestor or Owen Murphy were the first ones, with Anthony Nestor as well. So that's a big shake-up. One thing that stands out in my head, no World Rally cars, and flip me, I can't believe I'm saying it, but they didn't even think about them. The pace was that hot. You weren't waiting for that burble. You were fine. Sitting waiting for Devine or Fisher or Moffat or whoever. As well, looking back, the average speed sitting at 120 kilometers per hour after the end of the weekend. And yes, there were plenty of flat out bits, but there were tight stages as well. It wasn't all wide open roads. There was a lot of driving in them. So the guys who made it to the end definitely all deserve a medal. That was some motoring.
We're listening to the end of stage reports and in service and things, and every driver, every one of them, the epic was the word that was being used. Savage, these stages, there was no one stage a standout. Every stage just seemed to be bring out the best in these drivers.
Yeah, and again, just there was a fear this year that without the BRC competitors, it mightn't have been as an exciting a rally. But boy, what a battle there was over the 2 days. We didn't miss the WRCs and we didn't miss the BRC competitors either.
Yeah, I think those guys like Cathal and Johnny Greer jumping straight in and being right at the front. I think all of those guys, I'm not 100% about Johnny, but I think all the rest of them got a fastest time at some point over the weekend, right from Moffat and Devine at the front, and Fisher was coming on, his pace was coming on. He got a few stage wins in the end. Marion had one. That's brilliant just to see how close it is. And again, Moffat has got 2 wins, and you really can't take anything away from him because he hasn't put a foot wrong now in the first 2 rallies, and both very challenging in their own way. But with Johnny Greer coming in, Fisher seems to be getting his pace right at the sharp end now. Just with these next rounds again, I think 5-6 guys, in a lead battle.
Marion Evans at the weekend, a half spin in the stall, only but for that, he would have been, very, very close to taking that one. And it's down to that level now that even a half spin is making the difference. It is bonkers, really, isn't it? When you think about it.
I think by the end of day one, the top 6 were covered by less than 26 seconds. Like, it's just, phenomenal.
There was that stage on Saturday too where there were the top 2 guys had the same time to the 10th of a second, and the next 2 were 0.2 of a down, so 0.6 of a second down. So that's your top 4 crews within 0.6 of a second. Again, those stages on Sunday were, I think they were all 19 kilometers long, and there was very little between the guys. And again, I think they all went into Sunday knowing that they had to push if there were going to be any position changes, but they all had their wee moments. Josh, I think he had a close one. And yeah, Marion and Fisher had their bad stage as well, which sort of put them out of the mix. But no, it's brilliant.
And like you talk about, they had a bad stage. Like they dropped 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, a couple of years ago, dropping 10 or 15 seconds, like you wouldn't even have dropped a place. Never mind put yourself out of contention for the rally.
Yeah. It's mental. 2-wheel drive as well.
Yeah.
Going back to Stafford, like fair play to him, he was nursing problems all weekend, and you really wouldn't have thought it. Only if you were following, like if you looked at the times, you thought he was cruising. And Rob again, just so committed. I think those fast stages definitely seem to suit him. He's very gutsy, and he's planted in that car. Again, I think he made a few mistakes maybe on a stage on Sunday and sort of dropped him back off Stafford again. And John Dalton on Saturday, he was going really well. He was in the top 3, and then he had to drop out. He wasn't feeling well. Eves had a tough start. He was coming back in pace. He was trying to fight back to Duggan, and then he retired. And Kieran, the car gave up on him as well. So
Kieran was on a charge then on the Sunday as well. He was, balls to the wall, as they talk about,
Yeah. Again, those stages were a wee bit more mucky and maybe, a bit more gravelly in sections, which maybe suited Kieran, just that style. But definitely all those guys, once they got going and just at different stages of the rally, they were really on it. Like.
And we haven't even spoken about Jason Black, the start of the year to date, and his times, he was still thereabouts, but because these other guys were on an unreal pace, like Jason wasn't just maybe getting the same limelight, but like the times he was putting in a class 13 car were unbelievable once again.
Yeah, if you've seen Sam Moffat pushing through the stages, like he was driving really well, and I think Jason had nearly pulled a minute on him whenever Jason had to retire then with his fuel issues. So yeah, it's all those guys, and just to see Sam really getting into the groove with the start, it's cool. It's funny seeing him walking about Park Ferme and all the Rally 2 R5 guys sort of a wee bit tense on the Sunday morning, and they're chatting, but their minds in the car, and Sam's as cool as ever. Like he is really loving life and that startup, and you can imagine the fun that those guys are having it.
Yeah, there was one stage in it had got some hairpin or something just perfect. He was beaming from ear to ear, and then is it the next corner? Then they fluffed it, But you could just see, like if he'd been in his R5 or Rally 2 car, like he'd have been disgusted with himself. But he was just, as you talk about there, loving life, Yeah,
the pressure's off. Yeah. But all those cars, even the technology in them and the performance, it's mental. I have to say as well, watching Frank Kelly, he wasn't maybe at the sharp end where we used to seeing him, but he was getting his car set up for tarmac again, and flip me, he just put on a show. Like it's crazy. There's one junction where they came over like a sweeping right-hander, sort of over a crest, and then down braking into a hairpin right, and like everyone was nice and controlled over the crest, pushing on and then charging through the square right. But Frankie was broadside coming over the crest. Like, oh, it's just funny when you watch 20 cars come through all very similar, and Frank just comes in completely opposite lock, and then he slides into the corner. He doesn't, not just sliding out, like he's sliding into it. Oh, it's quality.
Yeah, lunatic
good.
coming over the hill.
Yeah,
But
he
I
made it to
suppose,
the end.
like, one of those modified guys that we're talking about is Rob Duggan. Like, has to be one of the standouts for me. And we'll hear what Rob has to say about his thoughts on how he thought the weekend went.
Yeah, very happy with the weekend. When we were facing down the road, I think we kind of knew that Darien was going to be very quick in West Cork. They always are down there, and I think it was more just the other modified lads. We were kind of keeping an eye on Eves and Kieran and Black after the weekend they had a couple of weeks ago. Himself and Kieran had a good fight, so it's kind of them we were looking at. The Darien was just that step ahead out of kind of what we were looking at, but yeah, it was just a tough weekend against them. At the start, we seemed to kind of get some grip with them, but as the weekend went on, they just got quicker and quicker, and yeah, it definitely wasn't something that I'd be bringing the fight to anytime soon, anyway.
And like, you know, you mentioned Kieran and Eves and Daniel McKenna and them guys. Like, the crack and the banter between you guys seems to be something very special there as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's that's something that's the fighting on the stages is so good, but when you can get out at the start of the stage and have a good bit of crack at the boys and have a bit of slagging and a bit of winding, and there's plenty of that happening between everyone, and that's what makes it all enjoyable, and that's what makes it worthwhile going down the road. And yes, if we can get a good stage time out of it, it's good, but the crack and the banter that's had is definitely a big plus to the whole thing.
Yeah, and this is only your third event in this car as well. Do you feel that there's more to come from you and from the car?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a lot more to come. All through the weekend, I was struggling a small bit with handling because the car was a bit hard. It wasn't soaking up bumps, and we struggled with suspension before Killarney. My suspension just didn't work right at all, and we had some brake issues in the first day out. I think we've them kind of sorted. So it's just trying to fine tune, maybe springs, maybe valving the shocks. I don't know. We need to figure something out. I think it was just a bit rushed for this one again. We kind of left it live for a month or two after Killarney, and next thing we realised West Cork was only a couple of weeks away, and it just caught us a small bit. So hopefully by the time Killarney comes, we've a bit of rebuilding to do now just to make sure it'll stay going for the 2 days of Killarney. So get them bits done and straighten up the little bit of a quarter panel that we did a bit of damage, and yeah, if we can get a bit of testing in to see can we play around with the suspension just to get that little bit nicer, yeah, I'd be happier facing on to Killarney then.
Yeah, and like, you've went down a different engine route from most of the other guys. You know, they're all either KGP or Millington. You have the Honda engine then. Like, do you feel that, you know, that there's a benefit there for you anyway?
Yeah, it's hard to know, but I suppose there's always talk about figures and this engine and that engine. Keith McMullen built my engines from when I started in the junior days. He mapped my first Civic. He built my first engine for that. He built two or three engines for it, dry sumped it, and all along. And I said if I built an Escort, he was building the 2.5 Honda, and I said I'd go with him. And it seems to be playing in our hands fairly well. I'm happy enough with the power of it, and I suppose the times are there to kind of prove it after the weekend. So yeah, it is a bit different, and I suppose it'll always be a question in the back of your mind: is it the right or the wrong way? But to be fair, I can't see a thing wrong with it so far, and it's ran faultlessly since it came after Rolling Road below in his place. It hasn't missed a beat. I haven't had to ring him once, so it's yeah, it seems pretty good so far.
Excellent, excellent. And you know, we know you spun there on the stage 13, so that let Gary get a wee whiff of second place. Like, that last stage, I watched the end car. That was some run.
Yeah, definitely. We kind of dropped the ball really. After stage 11, Eves was gone. Black was out. Kieran was a bit behind us. Stafford was a bit in front of us, and we just kind of said, yeah, look, we've had our fun now for the weekend, and we'll tiptoe through. On 12, we actually spun on ring as well and clipped the back of it off a wall into 13, and I actually spun twice and just purely let the ball drop and just tiptoed to the finish. And I think Gary wasn't too far behind us crossing the finish line, and just purely lapse in concentration, just totally let the ball drop. And when we kind of found out Gary was so close then going into the last stage, we said we have to go full whack here, and we couldn't let him get the second place off us. And unfortunately they had a bit of trouble and stopped, but I think it would have been a fairly good race to the finish, and because I gave him my all through that stage, I don't think my car could have went any quicker with me inside it anyway.
Like he had 8 seconds to find that stage. It was going to be difficult watching that in car. I don't think there was too much left there.
Well, no, that's what I said going in. I said all we have to do is match him. We didn't have to beat him by a whole pile, or just not letting him take a big chunk out of us. So yeah, it was a big push. It was as hard as I could go. It's the hardest we went all weekend, I'd say, really. And yeah, it showed in the in-car too. Yeah. It was a good in-car.
Yeah, and I was chatting to Will Creighton earlier, and he's given out that you beat him then after like 220 kilometres by 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, that was a nice finishing touch. And I figured it out the finish ramp that we just picked with him in the overalls of the whole rally. So yeah, it wasn't the fight we were kind of looking at, but at the end of the day, pipping anyone by 0.2 of a second is a nice feeling at the end of, as you say, 220 or 30 kilometres of rally.
Yeah. And then I'm guessing your next event then is going to be Killarney. Is there going to be big pressure then closer to home then to try and raise the bar again?
I don't know. I suppose the pressure was kind of high in Cork because I suppose a lot of people say it's the Killarney rally is where I've won most of my stuff, which is true. But yeah, I suppose we've proven in Cork that we can set the pace in places that we don't know as well. So look, the pressure will be high, of course. Everyone will be gunning for me in Killarney, same way as I'll be gunning for anyone else when we travel far to their hometowns or whatever. So the pressure will be up, but I'm looking forward to a battle with anyone. The whole rallying thing, the pressure doesn't really bother me, but I once I have a fight, once I have a battle for the end of the weekend, and it comes down to a couple of seconds, I'd rather that rather than walking away with it or losing by a mile. I'd rather race to the finish no matter what the result is, and that's why we're rallying.
Excellent. And
it's the the thing.
And you seem to be really loving the Mark II at the minute. Would you be tempted to maybe try go down the Rally 2 R5 route again, or you're happy enough at the moment?
I spent 4 years building the Mark II before Benna, so I suppose I'm happy out with it. That's kind of what I was aiming for. I tried the whole serious side of rallying, doing the JRRC and bits, and it's just not for me really. But like that, I'd love to have a go of an R5 car here at home for a championship. It would be something that I wouldn't put to aside completely yet. But yeah, sure, everything it's the same for everyone. Financial side of things is everything, and yeah, the Mark II is expensive enough not to mind trying to hire and run an R5 car. So no, I'd love to have a go on one. Yeah, to answer your question, I'd love to have another go on them, but at the moment it's looking like it'll be just the escort for a while, which I'm happy out with. I'm having good fun in it, and the battles we're having it's going to be good. And as Gary said at the start of the second stage the weekend, he said we started laughing at each other, and he said this is going to be some year, some racing, and that's what we're looking forward to.
Yeah, that isn't that what rallying should be really about? That having the crack and the banter, but from the flag drops, it all stops, but between the stages, there is the crack and the banter and the fun.
That's it. Once the helmet goes on, we all want to beat the shit out of each other, but when the helmet comes off, it's good banter, and that's the main thing. Once we're having the crack.
Yeah. And then Killarney, then have you any thoughts then after Killarney? Would you like to do Donegal, or any thoughts after Killarney, or just get through it first?
The plan is go to Donegal. I'll go into plan if we don't have any hiccups like West Cork. Once there's no major damage in Killarney and no major rebuilding or anything needs to happen before Donegal, I think we'll go up and give it a go. It's been kind of in the plan now for a while, but I wanted my own escort to go there. So yeah, that is the plan, get up the road to Donegal. So hopefully all going we'll be at the start line in June.
That was Rob Duggan. It's great to see him out on rallies regularly again in Ireland. He's definitely one of the best talents we have, and let's see how he goes in Killarney. easily pulls some crazy times out of the bag. So let's see how far up the overall field he ends up through Moll's Gap. But yeah, one thing I had in my head after West Cork is how it's quite hard sometimes for homologated drivers outside maybe the top 10 to stand out amongst all the modified competitors. But two crews that stood out for me in West Cork were Eamon Kelly and Will Creighton. So Eamon obviously won the Rally 4 category, but you could clearly see how hard he was pushing and how committed he was to his notes. Chatting to Connor in Park Ferme on Saturday evening, you just had to take one look at his face and you could tell Eamon was at a different level this weekend. So the R5 drive's clearly done him no harm now that he stepped back into front wheel drive. And Will Creighton and Liam Regan as well were debuting the Rally 3 Fiesta in Ireland, and they were two men on a mission, clearly loving four-wheel drive on Irish Tour. And Kevin caught up with Will earlier this week to see how he got on.
Yeah, it's been a good start. Obviously, this is the first year driving the Rally 3 car, so we didn't really know what to expect, and the transition to four-wheel drive has been really enjoyable, and we've had two good results in the car. So yeah, it's been really good. The car's been good fun to drive, and it's worked quite well for us. And obviously, we got it to work quite well in West Cork. So it's been a good start to the year.
Yeah, and the pre-event test in Sweden, I'm sure that was crucial for that the result there as well.
Yeah, we put in a lot of effort on the run up to Sweden. Obviously, we had never driven on snow before, and going to the WRC, we knew the pace was going to be very fast, and we needed to be as prepared as possible. So we didn't have a lot of time, and in 2021, the JWRC didn't start to Croatia, so you had much more time to prepare, and it all just happened a little bit more quickly this year. But we travelled over and did a rally in Lima with the Motorsport Ireland, and that was really crucial, and we had a good run there, and we also did a bit of testing when we were out there. So yeah, it was really enjoyable, and we got to try things in the car so that whenever we got to Sweden, we could set it up, how we would like it, and we knew what to expect, which was good. And I think that showed that we were able to, be competitive on Friday and Saturday and be up amongst the top guys. I think obviously we maybe lacked a little bit of speed to fight for the win, but I could see where that was. And, if I ever got to the chance to go back to Sweden, I think we could go even harder.
Excellent. And then, the weekend in West Cork, it was a difficult rally for you because, who do you judge your pace against? But 7th overall, amongst all them Rally 5 or R5 Rally 2 cars, and then in the combined field, you were 9th overall, mixing it then with the Class 14 guys. Did that surpass your expectations of the weekend? Or?
Yeah, I think it did. I mean, we were number 44, so I didn't know what to expect. And then driving the Rally 3 on tarmac, I wasn't sure, would it have the same step on the Rally 4 cars, especially when the grip was so high in West Cork. So yeah, I suppose I didn't really know what to expect. And our aim going to West Cork was just to try and get good miles in the car and, play with the setup. And M-Sport provided an engineer for the weekend that helped us massively. And from the work that we did, we've got a good setup now going into Croatia. But yeah, as I said, I didn't really know what to expect. So to get that result, it was really nice. And there seemed to be a lot of interest in the car because it was his first rally in Ireland. So it was a really enjoyable weekend. The stages in West Cork were flat out. I think even after the recce, I didn't appreciate how fast it was going to be. So it was a bit of a baptism to fire on the first stage, but yeah, everything just clicked really well all weekend, and it was enjoyable.
And that transition from your Rally 2 car to the Rally 3, does everything happen that wee bit quicker? Do you arrive at the corners that wee bit quicker? Can you brake that wee bit later? All them kind of things. Does all them wee things just take a wee while just for your brain to get fully up to speed with? Yeah,
we did a small test before the rally, and after it, I was thinking, I suppose I was a little bit nervous because everything did come at you pretty quick, and the bumps, you really have to be on the ball. But yeah, stepping into the Rally 3 car, things do come a little bit faster at you, and the brakes are a step ahead of the Rally 4 car, and all these little things just maybe take a wee minute to get adjusted to. But going into West Cork, the stages were good. It was dry. It was no better place really to try and test. So yeah, I think we got to grips with it quite quickly, and the car worked really well. So and Liam did a great job in the notes. And as I say, everything just one of those weekends, everything seemed to click, and it was good.
And your first time back, well, you were done the Ulster, but it's your first time back on the Irish roads after being doing the JWRC and JBRC last year, and then with COVID and everything else as well too. Good to be back.
Yeah, but no, it was brilliant. And obviously West Cork Rally hadn't happened for a few years with COVID. So I think everybody around the town of Clonakilty was glad to have it back, and there was a great buzz. So yeah, the amount of spectators out in the stages on Saturday and Sunday was crazy. So there's definitely a good buzz, and obviously there was a tight race for the overall win. So it was really exciting, and as I say, we were able to mix it with some of the R5 cars and some of the modified. So there was a bit of crack amongst everybody, and I think everybody had a good weekend.
Yeah, and you were saying, there's a lot of interest in the car. Is it a car that you'd recommend to, other drivers? It's like, it seems like a reasonably cost-effective way of going rallying.
There's no such thing as a cost-effective. But yeah, no, I would agree. It's a really good step between the Rally 4 cars and the Rally 2 cars. So for anyone wanting to make that transition, or wants a homologated car that's 4-wheel drive that can set competitive stage times, it's definitely a good class. So yeah, I hope there's a bit of interest in Ireland, and it would be good if a couple of guys had a car and then there was a race for the championship. But yeah, I think we proved that what the car's capable of, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there's anyone that takes a shot at it now.
Yeah, like when you're mixing it there with the class 14 guys, the modified escorts, you're not hanging about there, are you?
Yeah, it was tricky. It's 2018 in West Cork. We rolled in the last stage, so it was very easy to get sucked in and try too hard. But yeah, we were on a good pace all weekend, and yeah, we were able to mix it with some of those guys. And as I was saying to you before, Rob Duggan just pipped us in the last stage and got us by 0.2 of a second. So I'd say we're probably comparing ourselves to guys that we shouldn't have been. But yeah, the main aim of the weekend was just to get good miles in the car and try different things with the setup. And I think throughout the weekend there was good progression. I could definitely notice a big difference in driving the car, and I felt really comfortable by the end of the weekend.
And with Croatia coming up now, the next round of the JWRC, like West Cork is probably as close as you're going to get in Ireland to the stages out there. So probably a good representation of what you're going to be coming up against. Yeah,
any competitive miles in the car before the JWRC is beneficial, and as you say, West Cork isn't a million miles away from what we're going to be faced with in Croatia. The grip this weekend was probably a lot more. Croatia is a bit of a funny surface. You think there's a lot of grip, and especially if it's dry, but it's a bit like Ypres. There's just not a lot of grip on the tarmac. So it'll probably be a bit different, obviously, but it was good to get the experience at West Cork this weekend.
Excellent. And looking forward then, JWRC, what's your expectations now for the rest of the year?
It's difficult to say, really. We're trying to be as competitive as we can, and as the pace there is very fast, and you have to be accurate all weekend and get everything right to get a good result. And we had a good start in Sweden. It was a good start to the championship, and we'll go to Croatia. It's the only tarmac event of the year, so we'll try and make it count, and we'll give it our all and see what we can do. Yeah,
and any further events planned here in Ireland, or just as the main focus of your attention going to be the JWRC this year?
Yeah, the main focus is definitely the JWRC. We haven't got really anything planned before that yet. I've got a lot of work I can do, on pace notes and footage from last year from Croatia. So yeah, there's plenty to get on with, and hopefully we'll get another test in, local before we go to the rally. But no other rallies planned yet.
Great to catch up with all there earlier in the week, and wishing them all the best now in Croatia now in a few weeks' time. But this Rally 3 Fiesta, lads, it's going to it's an ideal car for somebody that maybe just can't take that final step into like a Rally 2 or Rally 5 car. 4-wheel drive, like we've seen these times there was up with the class 14 escorts. This car has real potential to. I think it could be very good for Irish rallying. Adam, what would your thoughts be on that?
Yeah, funny. I was sort of thinking the same thing. For for me, I think it would be interesting to see those guys who maybe are thinking about the R5 step, but for whatever reason maybe can't commit to it properly. Would they think about Rally 3? And again, with it being slightly more restricted, maybe less setup options, just not as powerful. You sort of have it in your head. It might be just as enjoyable to push that to its limit and maybe struggle to get in the pace or sort of develop your speed on an R5 car. So yeah, I guess maybe as we see more of the cars come up in the market and maybe more second-hand ones available and all of that, yeah, I think you would love to see more of them over here. And even something simple, it's just a different noise to hear coming up towards you on a stage. Definitely grabs your attention. But yeah, I think it's only positives.
Yeah, absolutely. And Connor, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, personally, I think it's a game changer. It's so difficult trying to put a budget together for the R5s that at least this gives people an option, tarmac car as well as a forestry car. I think it's a lot of potential there, and I think the Irish market's probably very well suited to it. For the championships in the south as well as the north.
Yeah. I think because Group N was always such a big thing here back whenever the world, the world cars were all to go. There was always still a strong Group N, with between the Evos and the Subarus and all. And like this car really fills that gap there. I do think it could be something that could reinvigorate, homologate at rallying here now, at the very least.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, sorry, jumping in there, Adam, but from the few clips and videos that are out there on the internet, like the cars look as competitive and fun. That's like they're bringing a bit of crack to the stages.
They seem really easy to throw around, if that's a technical term, but definitely they seem to give drivers confidence. And again, going back to ones coming from Evos or thinking about going to R5, if they're decent value for money, why not have a go? And again, Will's shown like that's its first rally in Ireland. I can't imagine there's been that much testing done before the event, and he's been right on the pace. So it's clearly suitable to Irish tarmac. There's a mix of everything in West Cork, really. So definitely that's another good sign that when's the last time there's been a car out of the box came to Irish tarmac and it's been able to do that? There's always been some sort of glitches, and we're still seeing it in the Rally 2 cars. So yeah.
And I suppose now we'll have to start wrapping things up a wee bit. Before we go, I also caught up with Daniel Mc Kenna. He came into the West Cork. I suppose I'll let him explain.
Yeah, well, the incident in Galway, I probably didn't have time to get too nervous until probably heading out to the start line of the Ardfield. But yeah, I just wanted to say massive thank you to Sharkey Motorsport, Bobby, with the help of Ryan Farrell, Fintan McGorman, and also Kieran Rush. They've done stellar work there in 4 or 5 weeks to get the car turned around. Bit touch and go there times the week before the rally, to be honest with you. We didn't know what was going to happen. And then, Andrew as well coming up and giving us a hand, and got a sort of last minute shakedown on the Wednesday night. But there was more stuff going on than that as well. We had the new dampers that we were waiting on from Philip Case, the new Oland's dampers. We had to get them sorted in the car. We were going to have a busy period in between the rallies anyways. And so that did not help. The accent was definitely not on the agenda. So, got caught out. Initially didn't really understand what had happened, but after seeing a bit in car and some of the footage that was doing the rounds, it was quite simple. It just got caught out on the shiny tar and just a wee bit too aggressive on the entry to the to the no escape junction. But certainly didn't do the confidence any good. So going down to West Cork, never done the rally before. So myself and Andrew we were late, I should say, getting down, or very early getting down on Thursday morning, which isn't the best preparation. So we're a bit undercooked getting ready. Preparation wasn't really good for the rally, and tough oil recce now, and quite sort of specialized stages down there, similar to maybe Killarney, where it's big wide open stuff and getting your lines right and stuff. So yeah, I wasn't feeling the most confident coming in Saturday morning, to be honest.
Yeah. And then, like, if whenever you're coming up the Ricky and you're not fully prepared, I suppose that then kind of keeps knocking in then to the rest of the weekend then too.
Yeah, well, quickly we discovered there was a bit of head scratching on Saturday night. What I discovered then was we sort of made a bit of a blunder. Myself and Andrew thought we were doing the right thing. Seven stages, brand new stages to us, and we done the Sunday stages Thursday morning, and then we decided that we'd do the Saturday stages on Thursday afternoon, try and get the donkey work done at the recce, because we realised it was going to be a difficult thing. In hindsight, that was a mistake, because I realised then when we were checking the notes Sunday morning that my notes for the Saturday stages were very, very like negative, safe. Probably went into a bit of a defence mode because I think it was just that fatigue getting the car finished last minute, and you can see the difference. The first 3 stages we done Thursday morning were much more positive and much more confident, like confidence of affirming or whatever you want to call it. Like I've seen your chat with Annister, like that Adam had, like, and it sort of makes sense. You can really make confident notes versus negative notes, and there was definitely a case of that. Yeah, wasn't driving well, and the notes weren't inspiring any confidence, and just uptight and not at ease, not myself at all. And yeah, the new dampers, as I say, were just fitted to the car, so it was just a difficult day on Saturday. But at the end of the day, the way we had to look at it was we were a privileged position to be there, as always, going rallying, and very, very lucky to be able to do what we're allowed to do. And then the stages are fantastic, like, and it's always fun driving Mark II Escort anyways, but yeah, to be quite far away off the pace. The only positive we could take was we didn't make any mistakes. It wasn't a mark on the car. And then after Saturday evening, when you looked at who was in front of you, it was all guys who have a lot of experience, had a lot of seat time over the years, and obviously since the lockdown. So the way we're looking at it, we were best of the rest in terms of people who had never done the rally before. So, within the class, your Jason's, Chris Armstrong's, so we're relatively happy come Saturday night, but I still couldn't put my finger on what was going on. But we figured it out Sunday morning early when we checked the notes. We to be honest with you, Andrew had it figured on Friday, but it was just too much to deal with. I mentally couldn't take it, so Andrew just decided to say nothing, and at least he knew the notes were safe, and we're probably going to be slow, but we weren't going to do anything like we did in Galway. So yeah, he was right as usual.
And you talked about the great stages, like as at the event you'll definitely be putting back into the calendar, maybe not next year or whatever again, but you'd love to go back again anyway, I think. Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah. I'll try and go every year from now on if we can, like if it's at all possible. No, it's a fantastic event. Just the atmosphere and the welcome that everyone says. The local people, the B&B and the Airbnbs that we're using, the restaurants, everything. The organisers, the COC, everybody was just so welcoming for start, and then you go out down to the stages and they're just epic, like brilliant tests. Start off with that Ardfield stage. I probably could have done with an easier stage to try and get back into the swing of things, because that was straight into the ballsy stuff straight away. Yes. So, but it's a serious test. Like the usual ones, the ring stage, the Sam's Cross stage that everyone talks about. But I must say, all the stages when you get into it and you analyse them, they're really, really good driver stages, like Aye, that's the kind of stages you want to be getting into. That's the ones that you really, you feel you can make a difference. Yeah, that's it. Like there's loads of time there. Like I've seen some of my in car, and we were having some setup issues with the front dampers. We're going to have to go back and do a bit of homework on them, but that's just because we didn't have time to prepare properly. They're brand new. There's no data on these dampers, so we were gathering the data. But yeah, the weather helped as well. Like it was dry. If it had been, I know from Andrew's done the rally twice before, different people in wet and dry conditions, and I think if it's wet or damp, it's a different type of rally. Yeah. But different. Another point we made was the amount of shiny tar, the blacktop stuff on it. Because I was told that the surface is always quite good down there, but I have to say it's probably a result of the lockdown and all the tourism down in that area. And the good weather during the summer.
I think it's probably boiled up a lot of the tar. So I would say in the
it's
wet now.
It's going to be very polished then, kind of thing. Too,
Yeah, it's even slippy. It was even slippy in places on the dry tar. I'd say probably have other guys commenting as well. So, but generally the fantastic stages.
And you talked there about, like the data gathering you've done, like you talked then during the event there with Killian Duffy and that the rally was turned into an extended test. Like that data will be invaluable now for the next events coming forward.
Oh yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Like it's, to be honest with you, the Saturday before the rally, we were 50-50. We said we could have the car ready. We knew it would be ready in time. It was going to be a rush job. We weren't going to be prepared the way we would normally would be prepared. But the way we were looking at it was an event you have to try and, you have to get the mileage in and get the events in. You have to get the knowledge of the stages, same as Killarney or same as Donegal, because they're generally using the same regions all the time, maybe different variations or different directions, but it's having the knowledge is important, and that's probably where. So that was one thing in the back of my mind. Plus, there was 200 stage kilometers to gather data for the dampers. So there's going to be, you could go testing and, we were weighing up, well, sure, will we save our money and go and do 2 or 3 days good testing that, but there's no comparison to competition, like,
from the close ticking, that makes all the difference, doesn't it? You can drive
yeah,
it down
definitely,
the one piece of road,
so there was more pros to go than cons, and obviously with the championship in the back of my mind as well, didn't get off to a bad start, so, we needed to, if we were serious with the championship, we wanted to try and get down and get some points, so that was what we're hoping for, just to be thereabouts and come up out with a good result, which thankfully happened.
Mm-hmm. And then, at the end, do you feel then that you've left West Cork in a good place then for the next rally?
Yeah, we're pretty positive. The pace is good. Like I can see where the time is. Like I wouldn't say it's a good pace. Don't get me wrong. The guys are on a big pace. The Darians are obviously well suited down there. So discounting the Darians, matching the pace of the guys, you can see where it is. So it's. I haven't figured out in my head. We still have some work to do in the car, which we know what direction we need to go in, but we need to go and do some more testing. And then we set in some reasonable times there on the the Sunday afternoon, which was built the confidence. Like we inherited a decent result then because we were in 5th, and then Kevin had brother on the second stage, and then Gary unfortunately. Something happened as diff on the last one, but I think it was inevitable. He knew it was on the way out. It was just a matter of time. Unfortunately, it just didn't hold on for him, but it just meant we got the third on the podium position. But yeah, it was just a nice way to finish it off, because it was nice to get into the Clonakilty town centre there and go up on the top of the Clonakilty Black Pudding bus and do the champagne and stuff. Yeah. Didn't feel like we deserved it, but as Andrew says, that's a photograph we can cherish, and later on in life. So
yeah, and there's been other events that there's been other events that you've had that bad luck retiring and near the end and one thing and another. So it swings and roundabouts too, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah. Oh, that's it. That's just part of the game, unfortunately. But definitely come out with a more positive outlook on it than probably if I had finished 5th, that sort of way. So the results it counteracted the performance, let's say, a little bit with the results, but yeah.
And then where to next now? Circuit Ireland now or Killarney before you bet again? Or?
Yeah, we're going to go to the circuit, all being well. We have the entry in there. I don't know what just the stuff it is, to be honest with you. I know it's up around Ballymena Easter weekend. So yeah, the plan is to go to that. Again, it's part of the championship. It's a good opportunity to get seat time in the car, and it's good enough mileage up there. But yeah, probably the plan is the circuit, Killarney and Donegal, all been well. But we're really taking an event by event basis. Depending, we could be more certain what we're doing if I hadn't had the smash in Galway. So that's obviously affected the budgets and what have you. So yeah, that's where we're at the moment. To go to the circuit and take one event at a time, but. When you're running with a drop score in the back pocket, it doesn't take much to sort of end your championship plans. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But that's the plan, Kevin. Yeah.
It's always great to hear from Daniel. He's such a storyteller and he explains everything so well about what he's been up to. And he inherited 3rd overall in the modified class. So great, he's making his comeback. He's getting the mileage under his belt, and he's improving every rally again. So it's great to see him out. Now. It's that time where we look back at the fools we made of ourselves last week. Predictions. So, West Cork. Kevin, you went first last week with your predictions. I'll just remind you what you said. So you had Marion Evans to win, followed by Alistair Fisher, with Josh Moffat coming in third. And then
all the right drivers, just on the wrong places.
Well, yep, that's right. Adam, you went for Alistair, Marion, followed by Callum Devine. And then myself, I took Alistair to win, followed by Marion, followed by Josh. So yeah. I don't know. I don't know if we're jinxing people or
we're going to get paid the drivers to stop mentioning them.
Exactly. And then in the two-wheel, Kevin, you went for James Stafford, Kevin Eves, Daniel McKenna. Adam, you took James Stafford as well, Robert Duggan, Kevin Eves. And myself, again, we all reckoned that West Cork was, especially if it was dry, was going to suit the Darien. So I went for James Stafford and then went for Kevin Eves and Gary Kiernan. So yeah. We're not, yeah. There's a science behind this and we're not very good at it.
No.
It does sound like we've purposely done them wrong. Then drivers will throw us a lock of pound for not jinxing them.
Yes, any donation gratefully accepted.
It's a business plan to this podcast in the end.
There's logic to it somewhere. And it may also be remiss of us to forget to mention, the other crews competing, Irish crews once again competing across the globe, like America with the 100-acre wood, like Barry McKenna and Leon Jordan find podium after an early puncture. Great to see them back out again, and so many other strong performances by Irish crews right down throughout the field there. Seb Perez and Gary Mulhenny took a fine second there in another rally out in Mallorca the weekend as well. And then also Martin McCormick and Barney Mitchell had LIB 1800 over in the first round of the European Historic Championship. Like, that car, for anyone that knows anything about Irish rallying, the heritage in that car is just something else, and great to see it back in the stages. So that's all for this episode. Take care, speak soon, and bye.